Coach, listen, the calendar is certainly an issue. There's no doubt about that, and it's broken and it needs to be fixed, and we understand that, but that's not an excuse. And guys like Dan Lanning and Mike Elko and Rhett Lashley and Kurt Signetti, they have not used the calendar as an excuse to stay at their places in the middle of a playoff run. And here's the thing, guys. He certainly has the right to go wherever he wants. There's no doubt. But your currency as a coach is your credibility in front of your team and in recruiting. And I just wonder moving forward in front of a team, asking them for commitment and buy-in. Will he have the credibility if he makes this move? And if I was an opposing coach, you know what I would do? I would sit in a recruit's living room and say, why would you commit to that guy if you don't know if he's committed to you? That's a problem. And this notion that he has to go to LSU in order to win a national title, I think is false. In the modern college football, you can build a winner basically anywhere. He's proving it at Ole Miss. Indiana is proving it with Kurt Signetti. So, Coach, you want to win a national championship? Then look in the mirror, because it's right in front of you right now at Ole Miss.
Well, too bad Lane Kiffin did not take advice from Joel Klatt. Maybe Lane Kiffin should have. Time will tell. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Lane Kiffin quitting on Ole Miss and accepting the LSU head coach position. Even though Ole Miss finished the regular season with an 11-1 record, the relationship between Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss administration soured in recent weeks. Clearly, Lane Kiffin did not leave Ole Miss in a peaceful manner. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Did Lane Kiffin make a mistake leaving Ole Miss for LSU? I believe so. Remember, the grass is not always greener. And I know Lane Kiffin has the mentality that his favorite job is always the next job. But you guys also have to remember that Ole Miss is the one who rebuilt Lane Kiffin's reputation. Lane Kiffin was known as a complete joke prior to being Ole Miss's head coach. Now a lot of people like Lane Kiffin. And now Lane Kiffin decided to burn everything he rebuilt within a span of weeks. Throughout his 6 years in Oxford, Mississippi, Ole Miss turned themselves from being a laughingstock into a legitimate contender in not only the SEC but the entire country. This is the best season Ole Miss is having in basically 60 years, and Lane Kiffin decided that it was a good idea to throw all the goodwill away by chasing for more money at LSU. Just because you go 9-3 or 10-2 at LSU, that does not guarantee you job security. Here's the thing for Lane Kiffin: if he stayed at Ole Miss and went 8-4 or 9-3 every single year, you know what the fan base is going to do for Lane Kiffin? They're absolutely going to worship the guy like crazy, and they're going to build an entire statue for him in front of the stadium. That's not going to be the case at LSU. Would you rather be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? If I was Lane Kiffin, I would say I would rather be a big fish in a small pond. Why not go ahead and finish what you built started? Lane Kiffin had the audacity to ask Ole Miss administration to let him coach in the college football playoff, which is absolutely laughable. So Lane Kiffin believes it's a good idea to not only leave Ole Miss in the dust, he's going to go ahead and take one of their biggest rivals' head coach job, and now he believes he is entitled to coach Ole Miss in the college football playoff. Heck no. Think about this as an analogy. Think of it as someone who cheats on your wife or your husband, and not only do they cheat on your husband or wife, they go ahead and cheat on you with their next door neighbor that you absolutely hate, and then they have the audacity to ask, hey, can I get a Christmas present from you on top of that? Of course you're not going to do that. So Ole Miss administration did the right thing in not letting Lane Kiffin come back to Ole Miss to finish out the season. Lane Kiffin clearly made a massive mistake cheating on Ole Miss in exchange for LSU. The grass is not always greener, and I repeat that because I want to make sure that message is drilled across Lane Kiffin's head. Lane Kiffin is going to deeply regret this decision, leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU. He's not going to win a national championship at LSU. Who knows if he's even going to make the college football playoff over there. I also want to show you guys this clip of Lane Kiffin telling the Ole Miss fan base to feel thankful for what he achieved at Ole Miss. It was a laughable statement as to what Lane Kiffin said. Of course, no one in Oxford, Mississippi should feel good about Lane Kiffin right now. They should never feel good about Lane Kiffin again. And of course, if you're Ole Miss, you're rooting for Lane Kiffin to absolutely fail at his next job at LSU. I know I would be. Roll the film.
This has been a really special place. 6 years here. I know that there's a lot of feelings and emotions right now around. I hope when they settle down that there's an appreciation about what we were able to do here and having the best run that's ever been done in the history of the school, and brought some exciting times. So I'm so appreciative to the people of Oxford and the relationships that I developed here. And when I spoke at my dad's funeral, he moved 17 times. And I realized when all the people, I got all the letters, calls, people showed up from around all those different spots, NC State, all the different spots he coached. And they said he was able to impact them and how much that meant to them. And so I've really strived since that day to really try to impact people and help people through life, through my journey. So just prayed a lot and made a family decision, and hopefully get a chance to go impact a whole new set of people.
You're an idiot and a scammer.
This dude is a scam artist. I cannot take Lane Kiffin seriously. And by the way, this is not the first time Lane Kiffin pulled off this type of stunt. There's a reason why he was fired during his time as an assistant coach at Alabama. It was because he tried these same shenanigans, and Nick Saban had to tell Lane Kiffin to get out of my office because you can't be a distraction to our football team. You also think about how Lane Kiffin left Tennessee in the middle of the night in order to go to USC. That's why a lot of people don't respect Lane Kiffin. I know I don't. I lost a lot of respect for Lane Kiffin. I never had a lot of respect for Lane Kiffin to begin with, but now I lost even more respect for Lane Kiffin. That's why I call him Lame Kiffin, as in L-A-M-E, Lame Kiffin, because he makes lame moves, and obviously he is believing that he has a better chance to win a national championship at LSU in comparison to Ole Miss, which, by the way, that's not going to be the case in the NIL world. At LSU, he's still going to have to go through the same difficult path just like he had to at Ole Miss. And yeah, I know that LSU has more money than Ole Miss. That doesn't necessarily mean LSU is going to be a better football program than Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been quietly building themselves into a legitimate national contender. And here's the thing, I like the hire that they made in replacement of Lane Kiffin. I like the Pete Golden hire. His defenses have been constantly good year in and year out. I expect Ole Miss's defense to continue being good. Hopefully they can find themselves a quarterback in the transfer portal in the long term, because if they can do that, they're still going to be a good football team. They're still going to be a good team field in the SEC. And as for LSU, there's going to be a lot of pressure for Lane Kiffin to win those football games. Lane Kiffin is not going to have much room for error. At LSU, you have to win national championships or else you're a failure. This already happened with Brian Kelly, but when arrogant people don't learn history from the past, they tend to repeat their mistakes, and Lane Kiffin and LSU definitely made the same mistakes as they did from the past. LSU tried to chase a coach who had a quote-unquote great resume, but didn't really have the credentials to win the big games, and obviously it blew up in the face. That's what happened for them in the Brian Kelly situation, and as for Lane Kiffin, he didn't learn from his mistakes in the past that chasing for the better job is not always going to end up being a happy ending, which is what is going to happen for Lane Kiffin at LSU. Money can't buy happiness. The grass is not always greener, and this is going to be a mistake he's going to remember for the rest of his life. LSU is not going to be a better football team than Ole Miss in future years to come. I guarantee that much. So that is why Lane Kiffin did make a mistake leaving Ole Miss for LSU, as Lane Kiffin will end up underachieving at LSU in future seasons. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.